I'm pretty sure.
We'll talk about the way. Hello. Well, let's just get started. What is going on? You are listening and watching Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V, newlywed here,
And
alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
hello, newlywed darling. Hello, you married man, darling.
I
Oh my God.
know. Your microphone's right, correct? Like
Yes,
it's
it
to
should
the
be.
right settings. Yes.
Yes. Let's double
Okay.
check.
Let me just turn.
Microphone. Yes, we're good.
Yep. And I'm turning your volume up. Okay. We haven't done this in a
Beautiful.
second because we have been in wedding bliss.
Yes, we have.
And normally we go right into our sex talk because that's our new format. But I thought
Hmm.
today, because we've been talking so much about my wedding to Diego, that it would be nice to just do a little tiny recap. You can go to our social media handles and see some pictures and everything. But y'all, I got married on Sunday, October 19th to Diego Ramos, and couldn't be happier. It was way more than I could have ever imagined. And when I say that, it's partly due to the fact that Diego works for a venue that we actually got married at that's in Long Island on the water. There was 3 separate spaces that we enjoyed throughout the day. And when I tell you that crew of people over at Sound View Caterers in
Yes.
Bayville, Long Island, check it out. They have it down to a science. And we
Yep.
had an MC that was just like spectacular. And once I saw that everything was handled, I really just relaxed and enjoyed the
Yes.
moment.
I love that.
I really got to enjoy the moments, and it was beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I mean, people pulled out all the stops from the
Yeah.
food to the flowers
They
to,
did everything with love too. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really spectacular. I can't say enough of it. One of the major highlights of the entire night was you,
Oh.
Kodi Maurice, who has an upcoming EP coming out, who I
Hmm.
challenged to sing a song. And I got Kodi to actually sing a song. And we were out at the Monster here in New York
Yes.
about a month ago. And you're like telling me, okay, I will sing live, but what song do you want me to sing? Why don't you take some time, mull it over? And I'm like, no, I don't got that kind of time. What? So we went to the New York Eagle after sunning ourselves at the Chelsea Piers.
Yes.
And lo and behold, there it was Disco Sundays at the Monster in the basement.
Which we need to go back
And
to.
we need to go back to because it's
Yeah.
so fun there. And one of the songs that came on was Stevie Wonder's For Once in My Life. For
Hmm.
once, well, why am I singing it? Can you
Sing,
give him a
sing,
little
boo,
bit? Can you
sing.
give a little bit?
I'm not warmed up, darling. Let me have a little water. No, I don't have any water. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. And that's all I'm going to give them. That's all I'm going to give them.
And it was like the minute you started singing, and we pushed you, like kept pushing you later and
Oh, it's
later, and I
fine.
felt
Yeah.
bad because you weren't drinking to save your voice.
Yeah. Well, I
And
started the drink.
okay, and I know that you rehearsed for like 2 seconds, but when I tell you, y'all, that Kodi Maurice, and you can download a couple of his singles right now wherever you get your music, Kodi Maurice has a incredible live singing voice.
Thank you.
And more importantly, I think I told you this, that you have a presence too that you can't teach. So, a lot of people, not going to name names, Celine, and don't have Mariah, don't
Oh, no.
have incredible voices, but don't
Yes.
really know how to. They're just not a presence. You have an incredible soul and presence that I was like, wow, that everybody could feel. And you sang, not an easy song, a
It
Stevie
was
Wonder song
amazing.
that has to go on these high notes. It was incredible. I'm
Thank you.
so like blessed that you were singing. What were you thinking when you were performing that song?
Well, beforehand, I was just so very nervous because, okay, so you said I got to practice. I did like a little sound check with the microphone and with the music a little bit outside, and the notes weren't noting then. And I was like, quiet as kept. I was rehearsing the entire day. Like I was having fun and being engaging too, but I was like doing my vocal warm-ups. I was doing all the things, going over my lyrics the entire time just because
Wow.
I wanted to give you a moment. And then when I performed, of course, I was very nervous, but there was just so much love in that room. And I talked to some people beforehand about how nervous I was, and they were like, "Don't be nervous, boo. Everybody here wants you to do well." And then after I sang, your reaction, boo,
I
it
was emotional. Yeah. So little
it made it
tidbits,
all
and
worth
I
it.
swear we're going to get into tonight's
Yeah.
show, but we'll just give you a couple more tidbits. Some people, one of my best friends, Francisco, showed up and he cried during his wedding, and his wedding was an extravaganza to end
Mhm.
all.
Who
And
was Francis was amazing, by the way.
yeah, and I actually was starting to tear up when Diego walked down the aisle, and it's like a line, and my mom and I were behind. I
Mhm.
was tearing up, and I couldn't stop welling up. My eyes were like starting to tear. Somehow, because everybody had to go before me, I got all my tears out of the way, and I didn't want to mess up my makeup or
Yep,
anything.
that's the thing.
And I ended up not crying, thank goodness, gave my speech to Diego, my vows, and I was really like, I didn't cry, but I did cry in your singing because I just think I was so emotional for my dear friend and your talent that,
Yeah,
and
I
then
saw
it
that.
just, there was so much love and it was amazing. And I listened to you and I got up and started dancing because that's what you wanted. And it was really, I'll sum up and we'll get into tonight's show. I'll sum up if you had your rom-com moment ever, like your own film in your mind of what
Mhm.
your love life was going to look like. Sunday was my rom-com wedding moment extravaganza. Like I couldn't have written it any better. It was, I lived my rom-com moment to all the music and love and friendship, and it's just beautiful.
It was a
And
peaceful my best
it,
friend's wedding. I
and
loved it.
everybody should be the star of their own life movie. I've said that before because I just think you are the star of your life. You are the main character of your life.
Mhm.
And sometimes we have moments where we're a little bit more main character than others. Sometimes we're the supporting characters. Sometimes we're background. But I really was I felt like I was the
Main
lead
event.
character of a rom-com film that like grossed like millions of dollars at the box office.
I
I
love it.
felt it, and
It was worth $1,000,000, and you
yeah.
look like you were worth $1,000,000. I had an amazing time. So get married again, please.
Thank you, everyone watching us live. I see you guys. I see you, George, Anthony. Hello. Thank you, Anthony Durand. Hello. Oh my goodness. Uh, Adrian, congratulations. Thank you so much. James, so happy to see you here. We need you to participate in the rest of this show, but it's time to get into our first sex chat of the night. Oh, George says, sing happy birthday, Kodi, for me. Is it your birthday,
Oh,
George?
happy
Well, sing
birthday.
it if
Happy
it's your
birthday
Is it your
to
birthday?
you.
Let's let's find out if it is his birthday, and we'll pull it in throughout the show. Oh, it's his birthday.
Oh,
Do
happy
you want to do a
birthday.
little like Marilyn, or do you want to do a little Stevie, or do you want to do it like it's your
Happy
birthday,
birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya.
George?
You're gonna have me singing here all the time. Happy birthday, George.
Happy birthday, George! I love that we have a
Oh,
birthday.
I know,
Okay,
right?
well
$2
let's
million. That's right, Duran. It was worth $2 million.
do. Love it. Well, let's
So
get
much
into
fun.
tonight's first sex talk. And thank you for indulging us, really, because it just means, I'm hoping you want to know a little bit about our life sometimes,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was an amazing time. But we've got to get into it, and tonight we are talking about gay. The theme of the night is, where do our sexual performances come from? So we're talking about performances that we actually do to lure people into our lives. Gay sexuality is often described in terms of roles. So, everything from top, bottom, dom, sub, masc, femme. But what happens when those labels feel more like performances than authentic expression? Well, tonight we are going to kind of unpack some of our desire, attraction, identity that gets tangled up with performances, from the bedroom to the bar to the apps. And I love this topic. So excited about it. Where
Yes.
do our
Likewise.
sexual performances come from? How early socialization and media, what did it teach us about desirable looks or sounds like? Well, Kodi, I grew up in the 80s, and a lot of my references to sexuality came as a gymnast from my fellow gymnasts. Just looking them in those tight clothes, seeing them
Hmm.
change into they're sexy when we would go to a competition, to things like Tom Selleck on Magnum PI, Burt Reynolds. Well, those types were super hyper masculine, hairy men with mustaches. I married a guy that has a very thick mustache. And uh, I mean, but then we can get into what. So those were some of my earliest memories of what sexuality taught me about body parts from gymnastics. And Kodi, gymnasts were always, even at a young age, we worked out a lot, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
muscles were a big deal to me. Looking at skin, because we were always half naked, was a big deal to me. And then what I saw on TV were these hyper masculine men that
Hmm.
really defined what I thought of sex and what I thought was sexy. We're going to get into it a little bit later on how that changed, but those were some of my early influences that basically told me, this is what I need to look like, be, this is what I'm drawn to when it comes to sex. And by the way, I didn't think that two men could be together.
Oh wow.
And that was another part of it that was really held me back a lot, because it was like, I have all these feelings, but I'm not allowed to feel them.
Hmm.
And I beat myself up over it. I really did. But what were some of your early influences that you were drawn to?
You know what? This makes a lot of sense because you were talking about your very first like gay crush or
Yeah.
just what influenced you when you were younger. And for me, George Michael was the epitome.
It's so weird that you would say that, because today I was leaning over to get, I put a lot away for my mom and family
Yeah. Yeah.
here, and
Mhm.
I
Oh, I know
didn't
how it go.
yeah, I desexualized the condo a little bit. But as I was leaning over, what record did I see? I Want Your Sex by George Michael, the
So good.
45.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, that really kind of influenced how I walked the line between masculinity and femininity because, like, he tried to portray that he was a masculine man. He dated Brooke Shields. No, wait, that was Michael Jackson. He dated some famous lady, and he kind of really put on that facade for a very long time. But you could see underlinings of his femininity, of his homosexuality come out in his music, in the way that he just was. And come on, Wham was the ultimate like
Oh, the way they used "Wake
gay.
Me
Oh,
Up Before,"
so
and the
good.
way they were, like, bouncing around was so neon green, like, fabulous gay
It wasn't
before.
entrenched in toxic masculinity, which I think is so great. And it really had probably really influenced my way of being as far as embracing both sides of my of me as my masculinity and my femininity. Don't get me wrong, I have put on for the world before, for just to fit in. I put on more masculine tropes, and just to fit in with like gay people, I put on more feminine tropes, but I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on. But definitely George Michael, definitely Lenny Kravitz, which also it's like Lenny Kravitz, he's a masculine man, but he also like dresses with these beautiful ornate things as well, and he bridges the line between masculine and feminine. So I feel like that's a really huge part. And then like you said, the 80s with the short shorts, I feel like that can be construed as a little bit feminine as well. But that's the aesthetic I'm going for right now.
Yeah,
Currently, I have on a crop top.
and I think it's probably a really exciting time now to be a young person that is exploring your sexuality, because there are so many examples out there that you could gravitate to. I didn't have a lot of them. So I mentioned Tom Selleck and I mentioned fellow gyms. These were all we really had. But, you know, we are live right now, and George says showering with hairy men at the gym. Yeah, I remember being forced into the showers and looking at other masculine parts and thinking, this is really hot. This is really sexy. I didn't, but I would stuff it down because I knew I'm not supposed to be feeling those things. And but I mean, it was so hot, and these are things that carried with us. Doug says, I used to play baseball when I was younger, and we had to wear jock straps, perhaps where my love of jock straps comes from. I remember those moments. And isn't it interesting how the gay community embraced the jock strap, and now
Yeah.
there's things like Jockstrap Wednesdays. I mean, it's here in New York tonight. It's a whole thing. I'm thinking about going, but are we going tonight,
Well,
baby? Yes. And so these are the things. Alan, watching us live, says first celebrity crush was Matthew Broderick
I
after I
know,
saw
right? He was
George
so cute back in the
song.
day.
Oh, so cute. And he says Lenny is still hot as fuck. Oh, Lenny is hot as fuck. Lenny Kravitz.
Yes, he could
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Then,
So
now, tomorrow.
thank you for sharing some of those early things, because I think those were. But let's move into. So we're really talking about our gay sexuality and the roles that we play. Why do we have some of these role terms? And let's move on to when we started to become comfortable with our sexuality and the first time you saw gay porn. Okay, things like even pop culture and unintentional teachers. We talked about a lot of those, but what was your early gay porn when you were starting to realize, Kodi, that there was that out there? I'll start with myself, but it was, uh, we talked about it before. What's the Manhattan Latin? Christian Bjorn
Manhattan. Yes, yes.
was my first early experience where I rented a VH copy that I went down the street in Fremont, California to rent. And I played it while my parents were out. And I saw them driving up on the driveway. And I was desperately trying to come on, rewind, get out of that damn VHS machine and not like get stuck so that I could put like, you know, whatever movie War of the Roses back in there where it was at and return it on time. What was some of your early? So actually, I liked Latinos back in the day.
Yeah, Latin
Yeah,
inches was everything.
Honcho.
The honcho, all of those
Come
inches,
on.
black inches, all of that was my favorite. Blue Boy, all of those. Come on, you can't go
There's
wrong.
so many of those early magazines. That
I
did
think,
you for you was it like me when you finally discovered, okay, gay exists and there's a world out there, were you like, oh my god, and there's so many different like varieties and magazines? What were your I mean, it was a playground.
So my family's gonna kill me. Okay.
Are they watching?
Because I remember being in my cousin's room. I don't know why he had this video, but it was two guys having sex. And I almost burned the tape off of that watching that because it was, yeah, it was very transformative for me. It was very eye-opening because I did not know that it could two men. Well, I knew, but I mean, because when I was what, like 12, so I understood, but I didn't know that it would feel so so right. Basically, I was watching these two people have sex, and I was like, that is what I want to emulate. That is what it just felt like. It was the vibe. It made me feel like I had never felt before. Very horny. So the a little Kodi was just moving all around. All of his hormones were going through his body, and he could tell that he wanted that was something that he wanted to replicate.
And I think the point of what we're kind of talking about today is we didn't have a lot of examples for to be gay men or like growing up. Most of
Yeah.
our examples were straight heteronormative
Hmm.
examples that we took on. How does that translate to how we develop who we're going to be in the bedroom, who we're going to be sexually? How does that translate to that when you don't have many examples? And it's interesting because when I shifted over to, I mean, I always thought of myself like, even though I had these feelings for boys, that I was
Hmm.
gonna just marry a woman,
Yeah.
and I just did. It was so crazy. I don't know how I thought that was gonna work out for me. I'm so glad that I
The woman,
realized
that
a
poor
woman.
lady.
Oh, that poor lady, that imaginary woman.
Exactly.
That's so funny. But yeah, Diego's laughing over on the sideline, and it's I'm so glad that we
Your
moved
husband.
on.
Oh
My
my
husband,
god.
I'm so glad that we were able to move on to have actual examples, but we didn't have a lot of them. Yes, gay
Yeah.
porn, but for me, gay porn was like I'm sneaking around getting this gay porn. It wasn't in the forefront for me. And I think maybe that's
Mm.
why it took me into my 50s to finally be comfortable with myself, to finally introduce my mother. And I mean, I didn't introduce her like last week, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying in the last 20 years, I've probably gotten a lot more comfortable with this show, with my family, with this wedding was a good indicator of in my mother told me to invite aunts and uncles. It was important for her that, and I'm like, really, mom? They're going to see on the invitation Diego and Steve. And I still had a little remnants of that today. But my mother, my 88-year-old mother, encouraged me, no, I want them to know. I don't want them to find out differently. And to think that we still carry a little bit of that, or at least I do, I'll speak for myself, shame, I guess,
Yeah.
on who I can be. And I know we're talking about who we are in the bedroom, who we are, how we show up sexually, but speak to a little bit of that and then speak to a little bit about the sexuality of it and how those early examples, porn or celebrities, how you took, I don't know, inference from that to develop your own sexuality.
Well, I feel like a lot of our examples were of heterosexual men growing up, and like you said before, but also with that, I think maybe us having and watching gay porn or seeing what we saw in movies in sparses here and there, still most of the prototypes that we were looking at and the examples that we had for how men, quote unquote, should act were of heteronormative men, men who were putting on masculinity in order to make it in the world. And I don't think that's like something that we should try and emulate because we personally as human beings two we have more multifacets to us. I think that for me I don't necessarily put on uh, a, a a persona when it comes to me acting more feminine or me acting more masculine. I think all of that is in me. I just tap into it a little bit more. I think also that there are instances when I can push some of that stuff to the forefront. If I'm feeling insecure, if I'm feeling like I'm not in a safe space, if I'm feeling like this is something that the other person wants, then I will put on a more masculine or a more feminine voice. There, I was at your wedding, since you were talking about your wedding, darling, and I was flirting with this very attractive man, and being nervous, I I have a higher voice sometimes when I'm kikiing or when I'm talking to all the like the girlies, you know, that is a part of me, but I felt like I was so nervous that I couldn't cut it off. And like if I'm flirting with a guy, I'm going into Billy D mode. I want to be like, do you want a Colt 45, baby? So, and I couldn't stop it, but he didn't care. So I think that a
Yes.
lot of that is made up in your own mind. So just go out there and be who you are at the end of the day. So,
We live in a beautiful time now. You know, there's a lot going on in this world right now that I think that was one of the most beautiful things because I'm a news junkie
mhm,
and I've got so many news things going on all the time. But the last week with my family in town, I didn't watch any news and I was in wedding mode. It was so
mhm.
refreshing. I've started to pull on some news here and there, but it turns out you don't need all that.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying is so beautiful because I have used voice, you use voice a lot. I
Yes.
am I have a very distinctive and I can go low. I've worked in radio and yes, I think I have used that deeperness to draw certain things and it has gotten me tops, bottoms, and this and that. But I think the beauty of aging is you just start to be comfortable with yourself. You start to realize you have masculine and feminine sides of yourself.
Yes.
And showing all of those myriad of signs of yourself is beautiful and makes you more a complete present person that at least for me took me a longer time to show up that Diego loves all of it or at least
Yeah.
it embraces all of it, but that
Mhm.
I've compartmentalized at times that, oh, I need to be this person so that they'll think that. And then when I started to get a little bit older and experiment with my sexuality and I'm more of a top later on, oh, I need to really like go into my deeper voice so that they'll like that side of me.
Yeah.
But to your point is now I can kind of tap into all of it and it's beautiful and it's sexy and it's kind of hot if you can tap into your masculine, feminine, and sexy side.
Yeah.
I think that's what people really want to see.
Trust me, when I was cuz when I was in my relationship back in my 20s, we were together for like almost 3 years, and I was doing most of the bottoming then. After that, I bottomed for a little bit longer, and then I came to the realization that, you know, maybe it's just once in a while that I want to bottom. So I was in a more of a space to where I was topping more. And maybe I was putting on a little bit of masculine energy then back then, but me putting that on and seeing how it felt, it got me more grounded in it and to where it just comes very naturally now. And I am just a dominant top guy. Like, and I'm very jovial and jokey out in the world, but when I am in the bedroom, it is a whole another animal. A complete beast comes out, and it's just a different energy. And I really enjoy tapping into it now. Like, as opposed to, I don't know if I didn't necessarily enjoy it then, but I feel like for me, it was something that I was kind of putting on because that's what I expected other types to do. But now it feels completely natural. So maybe just exploring is part of the answer as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about performance in a second, but I want to read a comment, and it comes from Adrian, and he says, I think you just have to experiment. When I had my first sexual experience, it was with
Oh,
a closeted guy, but it was something about being submissive for me. Uh, what does it
That was so
say?
relaxing. That
That
was
was
so
so
relaxing.
that was so relaxing, and I have tried topping, and it has never worked for me. Mind
Sounds like
you, that doesn't translate to my everyday life. I know how to turn it on and off.
man, I didn't even read that comment, but we pretty much say the same thing, but just from opposing perspectives. That is wild to me that, we as gay men can have that same experience. And that's fantastic. Wow. Thank you, Adrian.
And I think what we're talking a lot about was the title of the show about performance is when were those first moments when you found yourself performing, but and then how did that translate into the bedroom? When I started to notice I was performing was when a photographer that I recently reunited with in Folsom Street Fair, all these years later, he shot me for homoerotica for his calendar and so many other like gay rags. And to meet up with him again, he was my first experience of as well as go-go dancing that I was desired, and I knew I
Mhm.
was putting on a performance for that. How did that translate to the bedroom? Well, I felt like I always had to kind of be really good in bed and perform. I don't translate that to maybe the last couple years. I don't have it right now. I might reignite it again, but I've done a OnlyFans content page, and when you do a collab, you're performing for the camera
Amen.
sexually. And I have noticed, at least in my age now, where's the camera? Where's our lighting? What expression am I putting on? It is a performance, but I notice I'm pretty good at it to get into the moment, depending on who I'm collabing with. I love that word, but it is a thing. I don't know if it's really me, if I could do it all the time, but I got
Mhm.
into it. But I think when I'm having some of the best sex, so post wedding, just gonna share, Diego and I had some great sex. There was no cameras, there was no nothing, and it
You
was
should have cut them on, girl.
just connected, beautiful, like, sex, and that's really
Aw.
when I think I really shine, but I can perform too. He doesn't expect me to perform, but I have been in that moment. What can you say about performing and what people think you appear to be and the whole idea of performance in sex?
I don't really think I don't really think that I had to perform. Maybe when I had my relationships in my 20s, I felt like I had to be more submissive. So that is probably an aspect of performance. All my performance comes around relationships, apparently, because there's that one where I felt like I had to be more submissive, and then the one that I just got out of, I definitely felt like I was not muscly enough, that I wasn't butch enough. Oh yeah. And I feel like that fed into a lot of my insecurities. And that is what was the downfall was. So, like, I've done some therapy, I've thought about these things, I process, but I do think that for, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes for me stems from insecurity. And I feel like it also feeds into me trying to please my partner. So I think that that is the performance aspect of it. If I'm hooking up with somebody, I it's about me. I don't necessarily care about them. That is horrible to say out loud, but it's true. I don't necessarily uh I want to please them, but it's not so I'm not going to change myself to please them. That makes more sense. Yes.
And you just said a word that we have to, what was the word you just said? You have to like be somebody that you
Pretend to be somebody else?
yeah. And I think that's what this topic is really about, is that ultimately we
Mhm.
hope that we get to a place where we don't have to be performing and being a role. I'm using air quotes for you listening tomorrow, in that we can be comfortable with our sexuality and we can explore it, and we can actually take the time to find out what we really like. And that's why we have a lot of people on this show. I'm shouting out
Mhm.
to Will Tantra,
Hey, Daddy
because
Will.
yeah, I'm going to see him next week in Mexico for a lot of
Love
his
it.
seminars, and his mission, as well as a lot of people that do the really good work on our sexuality, is making ourselves grounded and comfortable with ourselves. We have a lot to give, but it's less about performance and it's about being in the moment and connecting. And I may have said this before, I'm working on a new app that is all about true connection within our community. And I think it's so important. But we are live right now. Can you read Adrian's comment?
Adrian
And
says, I think you just have to experiment. When I had my first sexual experiences with a, did we read that one already?
did we read it?
Yes, we read that one.
Okay, got it.
But then he put another one in there. Uh, one thing is that we still have all these preconceived notions that tops are alphas and bottoms are weaker. And I said to that, which is not true, because it is not true. I know some very bossy bottoms and they tell me how they like it, and I love every second of it. So yeah, it's about a give and take for me personally.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think we've covered a lot of this. We can continue this conversation, but I really think that, you know, the roles that we play, the things is has a lot to do with how we grew up. And I I'm excited for us to just explore ourselves and what we really like. And that's why I love people like Will Tantra, because it's grounding yourself on our own sexuality and realizing and we are in a really great time and place that we can explore our masculine, feminine sides. They can coexist at the same time. And it's really amazing. I mean, just thinking about my wedding, just to pull the wedding back in, I was inspired by the Met Gala this year, Dandy, and put my sister, I said, you have to wear a suit. And
She
she
looked
looked like a
amazing.
boss ass, you
Yes.
know what I'm going to say. But
Hmm.
it it pulled in the dandy of it all. And typically, a wedding, you would have a best man. Well, I had a best person, a
That's
best
right.
woman. And I just think roles need to be, all those labels need to come down, and then you can really experience who you are. And you're only going to bring that into your sexuality and into the bedroom. And it's beautiful. But this is a conversation that I think there's part two, three, four, and
Love
five
it. I can't wait.
that
I'm
we
very
can continue. Yeah. But we're running out of time and it's time to get into hot topics. And I couldn't think of, oh my God, we have got to. So you are on the apps, Kodi, and
hmm
I couldn't help. There is somebody that we really love that has been posting a lot. Do you like him? He goes by Jeff on Legacy TikToker Jeff.
Oh, this is my first time ever seeing him
Okay,
ever
I
in
think we've
life.
talked about him before. He was talking about all the crazy messages that he gets on Grinder. Oh wait, did we want to do that other story first,
Oh,
Lucas?
yes.
Yes,
Yep.
sorry.
Yes.
We'll get to that when, excuse me, I'm a little rusty from the wedding, but we really wanted to talk about Lucas Gage, actor Lucas Gage. You might remember him from White Lotus. And he has a brand new memoir. And I was telling you in our meeting before this that why is Lucas Gage writing a memoir at his age? And can I tell you, Kodi, that there was three other memoirs that I could care less about. And I'm talking about Kevin Federline, talking about Britney putting all that stuff out there because he's not getting his paycheck anymore from her. Do not want to read. I'm
Don't
talking
want, no,
about
on the do not read list. Burn it.
yeah, Cheryl Hines putting out a memoir when her husband is running the, what is he running? The
The
Kennedy.
Yeah, the
Do
Department of Health, something like that.
do not want to read hers. And sorry, y'all, but I do not want to read Kamala Harris's. I loved her. I voted for her, but a little too late, not the right time, but do not want to read it. But Lucas Gage, honestly, there's been so many quotes about his new memoir, and I really want to, it sounds juicy. His latest quote from his memoir: for so long, I killed off the flamboyant parts of myself. I too, I mean, he's only 30, and he basically turned that part off. He basically said, I think that that's a constant battle. The battle I've had my whole life is look at me, I want attention. But then once I get it, don't look at me, I'm scared. I want to run away and hide. He was talking about all kinds of stuff. But what do you think about that one quote? of I needed to turn off my basically flamboyant parts.
Yeah, that's basically what we've been chatting about this whole
Yeah.
time. And you know what? I think that this conversation is going to help so many gay people or LGBTQ plus people to really embrace all aspects of themselves. I used to know this really, really flamboyant guy when I lived in Virginia, and he was unashamed. And it was the most beautiful, brilliant thing to see. As somebody that was living in their truth, and I think his name was Brandon, but he was just ultra feminine. I think that I need to take a note out of his book and just lean into who I am and what I love about myself. And damn it, if I want to be feminine, I'm going to be feminine. If I want to be masculine, I'm going to be masculine.
Uh, let's move on with that because that's like beautiful. Um, well, let's go to what we were talking about, the last topic, and it's a TikToker, legacy TikToker Jeff was really sharing all of the grinder messages that he got that are really like crazy and like really crazy, right?
Crazy,
The
super,
majority of
yeah,
these don't even start with a hello, Jeff says, before diving
which is
into
very
some.
rude.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not say hello? Diving into some of the most cursed sentences ever composed on an iPhone, starting with the all-time winner. Have you been filled today? Would you love to suck the bleep out of I would love to suck the bleep out of your hole. I'm
Oh,
trying to move into
why the
your
bleep?
hole like it's an apartment, somebody else said, and pay monthly rent with my nut. Ick. Talk
Yuck.
about
We're hot.
creepy. The next message came from a guy Jeff might have considered hooking up with had he not ruined it by saying he wanted to give him his good, clean leche. Good, clean leche? What? How dare you bring up milk into this? Somebody else said, but
Does somebody good?
the food analogies didn't end there. Unfortunately, someone else talked about wanting to fill Jeff with his Mediterranean sauce. Yeah, I use the New York version of it. Not very appetizing, but it's not threatening. Somebody else said, I want to choke you so bad it goes that you forget your own name.
What?
Yeah.
That's wild.
He continued to share a few more creepy ones that I've always been supportive. Yeah, I mean, just creepy, creepy. Are you down to step on my face? It begins, hold me down until I lick your dirty feet clean. I mean, maybe if you're into that, if you know that, but somebody else said, are you into trading soiled briefs? Mine are dirty and crusty from yesterday at today's workout. Okay, gross.
How
I
do you
mean,
start a conversation like that?
yeah, I mean, Jeff goes on to say that a lot of these are super horny gay men to the nth, 11th degree. But like, how do you start, to your point, how do you start these conversations with this? I mean, it, we are not about shaming fetishes. And in
Yeah.
fact, we embrace them. But I think when you're just trying to meet somebody, if you go right into that, what have you been doing for hours and hours before you started texting me? What do you say? What's some of the craziest things you've had people tell you? And what do you say to some of the things that Jeff has had to experience?
I'm actually going through my sniffies right now to see what these people have sent to me.
Please, if you need a moment, I could read what Anthony says.
Okay, go ahead. Read what he says.
Anthony says, I'm 25 and have only started challenging my more Dom side, whether that being a power bottom or top. I think it's just as I become more confident in myself. Oh, well, back to our last topic. That's amazing,
Yeah.
Anthony. Good for you. Explore that. Okay.
Yeah,
Did
so
I give you
yeah, I tried. I don't think that they don't really send me crazy, crazy things. It normally starts out with hi, but I have had some people be very forceful and forward with their messages to me. And then also what really gets me on the apps is when people are like, if you don't respond to them, they'll go back in and be like, question mark, why aren't you
aggressive?
responding to me? I'm like, whoa, this is way too far. So I definitely block people for that. However, I think the weirdest thing that so there was this guy one time. I think it was on
In Bandcamp.
OkCupid or and Bandcamp. It was on OkCupid, and we were talking back and forth, and he was like, "I want you to spit on my face. I want you to." I mean, like, but it was all. He just went from 0 to 10. I feel like he said hi first,
So
but
you know what?
then
What you're saying is back to performative, what we were talking about when we started the show. It's
mhm.
like he was almost giving you a script.
Yeah,
Like,
like it,
do this, do that. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't fax over, or we're not faxing anymore. You didn't email over. My agent just emailed me over the script, and I didn't have
yeah,
enough time to review it. So I have to do what? And you don't want to feel like you have to perform like that. It's like, can we
yeah.
not just have a little organic side to this sexual union?
Or can we work up to me spitting on your face and stepping on your neck, all these fetishy things.
Well,
At
no, it
least,
said on page 2 at line 3 that
that we're supposed to step on each other's neck and
did you not get the notes?
I don't know. You know what? The size they must have changed and nobody sent the new
Girl,
script to me.
bye.
So.
You're fired.
I feel like I've sent some really kind of strange. You were reading the ones about uh the food ones about the leche. I literally text somebody today. I need to bring you a protein shake, and like alluding
You did
to
not
I
say
but
protein shake.
I actually do have their protein shakes. So.
And by protein shake, you meant what we think you meant, right?
No, well, I was being
Oh,
funny and
Jake is laughing.
um uh, I was being funny because I do have their actual protein shake, and I also want to come in their mouth. So it was a double entendre.
Wow. Okay. I guess that's what you got to do these days, right? You got to give
I
all.
mean, you got to be a little funny. You got to give a little double
I
entendre every
just
now and
think
then,
I want
but
to
when it's
like
appropriate.
share, but I feel like if you meet somebody, we were talking about friends with benefits on last week's episode.
Mhm.
And the beauty of friends with benefits is you start to become comfortable with that partner and you can start exploring things that you really like. So you can say, so I used to have a friends with benefits that I met him on the naked beach, and then he would tell me, I want you to wear. It's funny. I met him on the naked beach, but he wanted to show up at my apartment with a thong on. I had to wear the thong that he would then slip off for me
I approve.
when he got there.
So hot.
And yeah, and I would oblige, of course, because it was an easy ask and I could do that, right? It wasn't that crazy. But
Yeah.
then it's not like I've had other people that say, and then I want you to do this, and then I want you to do that, where it sounds so like we were talking about performative.
Yes,
And
I
when I
do.
feel like I'm in a script. Believe me, I've performed, I've been an actor, I've done all those things. I love it when I'm on set. I can do all that. But when I'm having fun, if I'm just having sex, I do not want to perform. I want to know that it's organic and that we can get nasty and dirty, but let it happen. I'm okay with a few little notes like, hey, I want you to be in this, or hey, I want you to, whatever. You can put a couple of requests. We give
Yeah.
you like, all request Friday, put
Yeah.
your top 3, but then let it be.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I think what it comes down to is having sex and exposing your kinks is very vulnerable, and I feel like people go into it way too quickly. I think that maybe we should all just take a step back, and if it's something that we are, alluding to that might be a little bit out of the norm, get to know the person first.
I love that. Anthony watching us live says, I had friends with benefits. He's now one of my best friends. It's so cute. Oh, I love that. Doug watching us live says, I once had a guy message me that wanted me to come over their house, dress them in their wife's clothes, and then have sex with them on the bed they shared with his wife. I passed on that opportunity. That would be
Wow,
wow.
that should, yeah, wow. That's all I have to say.
See, share some of them, but keep some of them to yourself. And yeah. Oh,
Or
we
somebody you feel safe with. How about that?
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. We've got to move on. I think we have time for. Do you want to do one more hot topic before advice?
N- I don't know. Do you think we'll have the time to do? Maybe we should just do two advices.
Let's do
'Cause
two advices. And sadly, for those of you who watch our show all the time, we don't have a thirst trap this week because it wasn't produced yet. So don't get mad at us. But
They
we've
don't
got
have a.
some.
We have it if it was ready, but they
Yeah,
don't have it.
correct. This one comes from Reddit, and it's all talking about bottoms. And it's saying, how long do you want a top to last? How long do you expect a hookup to last? I'm on a work trip, they wrote. I have had more free time, so I have been chatting with the guys on the apps. I hooked up with 3 guys in the past week. One was about 10 minutes experience, one was an hour long, and the last one was 25 minutes. Guy number one, we made out for about a minute or so, sucked each other, and once hard asked me to fuck him. After about 5 minutes, I asked him how he was feeling, and he just asked me to come and then leave. It was a bit unsatisfying. Guy number two,
Damn,
I
girl.
invited him to my hotel. We made out for a while. We did a lot of oral and rimming. I was topping him, so I took a few breaks to not come too quickly as I was super horny. He told me to take his time. So when I was close to coming, I would pull out and he would just make out and I would finger his prostate and suck him. And then I would start topping him. Once we both came, we made out and cuddled for probably 15 minutes. And I invited him to shower with me. But he said he had to go back home to his boyfriend.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Guy number three, we'll discuss. He wanted a more anonymous style experience. I went over and rimmed his hole and then topped him for about 15 minutes until I couldn't hold it any longer and just came. I apologized for coming so quickly, and he said his knees were getting tired and he was glad I enjoyed his ass, which was magical, by the way. Anywho, it made me wonder how long bottoms want the top to last. As someone who is newer to topping, to finally getting treated for ED with Cialis, I want to make sure the bottoms I hook up with enjoy their time. I think he already has his answer, Kodi, in that
Right?
every
He
experience is a little bit different.
also, well, yeah, every experience is a little bit different. Also, he said he didn't enjoy the first one at all. I mean, like, well, he said it was unsatisfying experience. So I think for him, he could probably number two and number three are probably his best bets moving forward. For but I think it's a personal thing because I find when I'm hooking up with guys, like 60, well, maybe 50-50. Half the guys want a more intimate or to actually have connected sex. And then the other half, they're like, just get in there and go. And I'm like, whoa. I always tell them that I'm not a really fast comer. So I don't know what you want to do. I can,
Yeah.
it takes me a
Well,
minute
I think to
sometimes,
your point,
most
it's
times.
that, you know, fucking actually going is a whole thing. And even in the dark room can be take some time. But when you meet somebody that you really connect with, you want to kind of enjoy it. And
Yeah.
it's longer than even in a dark room, it can be longer than a couple of minutes. It's like hopefully you want to enjoy that moment because you picked the right person. If you're
Yeah.
going to make migrate over to someone's hotel, house, wherever, it is and that takes a whole thing. We're talking about doormen and the whole shebang, and it's just a whole thing. And I feel like you kind of want to connect with the person, I feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, but everybody's going to be I would say, since we're giving advice, is really check in with the person you're going to connect with. Like, what are you really looking for? And really parse out, you know, do you want dirty talk? Put some of those things in there. If they start to say things like, I just want you to come over and come dump in me, maybe they've had more people in them throughout the day.
But
And you know
so
what I'm saying?
I'm gonna offer something to you. There's this guy that I hook up with, super hot. He is a huge purveyor of having multiple loads in him in a day. Still, even though when I go over there, we have sex, he never rushes me out. It takes as long as it takes, and I feel like that
He's a
is.
quality gay.
He really, and he's super hot.
You know, I'm
So
going to
yeah,
nominate him for the up.
with the Quality Gay Award, I nominate him for Best
I am
Bottom.
not mad at him. I am not mad at him.
But yeah, it's so I think that definitely get out there who and what you expect out of out of these encounters. I feel like if they say that they're going to be ass up, they don't want you to stay very long, because I've gotten that and I've been like, that's not really my vibe. So, but I've done it before. But still, I think that I've been avoiding them now. So yeah, definitely get out there and talk about it. That's what sex is all about, right?
Yeah, it's always been what's those parties that, you know, it's like a horse, I don't know what you call it. Like they line up and there's all these bottoms lined up and
A gangbang?
kind of, but they're actually it's like a horse ranch where
Oh, oh
they're they're
well.
lined up and it's these parties that go on and they just want you would just go from bottom to bottom to bottom, you would never see them. That's one thing I probably
Ah,
wouldn't be my thing, but I think, hey, more power to you. But if not, if you're gonna like travel across town, get in the car, you kind of want to connect with somebody, I
yeah.
think, to make it worth your while. But that's just me. Doug watching us live said I once had a guy message me that wanted me to come over their house.
I think
Oh,
we
I
read
said
that
that.
one already. Yeah.
Who else did I read?
Alan, the next one.
Reed Allen.
Oh no, he just says that there's no thirst trap. But Adrian says between
Yes.
35 minutes to an hour, but intimacy is a requirement. And I totally agree with that. I think that generally speaking, my hookups last an hour because that's how long it takes me. So yeah.
When you factor in the water, the how you doing, the yeah,
The how you doing? Yeah,
the how you
definitely.
doing,
And then the
yeah.
make out session, and then the licking, and all right,
I
I'm getting a
like a
little
lot
hot
of
over here.
foreplay
I
in
like a lot of
mine.
foreplay. All in all, I think that the actual penetration sex is, I like to do it for a while. So maybe like 35 minutes. So I rush the kissing and all that kind of stuff
We're gonna have to
sometimes
put a
because
timer on what's your when you're hooking up with someone. This should be our poll question of the week. What
I
is
made
the
one.
length of time that you spend with somebody from beginning to the you know the doorman calling you? Of course, it doesn't have to be a doorman, but knocking on the door to how long is that whole experience?
Okay. And then three options: 20 minutes, sorry, 10 minutes, 10 to 20, or 10 to 30, and then 30 to an hour. I can do those options.
I love it.
Yes.
We'll carry
Oh,
this over. I'm going to put this over on our tags Patreon community. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. Oh my gosh. So much fun. And I'm still in a wedding glow and I'm glowing because of you as well. It was
thank
so
you.
amazing. And I'm going to carry this on for a while. But thank you all for indulging me and talking about my wedding. But you can always follow my co host, Kodi, on Instagram and Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. I swear, his voice is amazing. He has
Oh,
two
thank
singles
you.
out. Go to Kodi Maurice wherever you get your music. He has an EP coming out at the end of the year. Really support Kodi and his music, and I can't wait to hear your full EP. Follow me on the gram. I am underscore Steve V. Anything else you wanted to share, Kodi? Or is
The poll is live. Everybody go over and go look at it. And in the meantime,
continue having
hot
gay sex?
sex.
Love you guys.